Um, Welcome. And for everyone who's joining us tonight and to people who tune in later to our recording, my name is Anne Ray. I'm the managing editor of Zoetrope All Story. And I am really excited to have this opportunity to speak with the wonderful Tunde Adebimpe, who designed All Story's current fall edition. Zoetrope All Story is a literary and art journal that was founded by Francis Coppola in 1997 to showcase the affinities between short stories and film. Francis shares Alfred Hitchcock's conviction that the short story is the art form most akin to film, given that the reader or viewer consumes each in a single sitting. In 1998, to manifest the collaborative nature of filmmaking, Francis initiated the guest designer concept, whereby a different leading artist is invited to design each issue of the magazine in its entirety. Past guest designers include William Eggleston, Zaha Hadid, Iggy Pop, JR, Jim Jarmusch, PJ Harvey, Abbas Kiarostami, Beck, Mikhail Baryshnikov, David Lynch, Mark Gonzalez, Carol Walker, David Bowie, Agnes Varda, Nick Cave, Autumn DeWilde, Tom Waits, and the fashion house Rodarte. And that's just a few, just to give you an idea of the range of our collaborators. We at All Story have long admired Tunde's work in all of its forms, and we were really thrilled that he accepted our invitation to design the fall 2021 edition. Tunde is a musician, actor, director, and visual artist whose work includes animation for MTV's groundbreaking series Celebrity Deathmatch, acting on both big and small screens, including a breakthrough role in Jonathan Demme's film Rachel Getting Married, directing music videos for bands like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, a multimedia commission for the Walker Arts Center, and fronting the band TV on the Radio. Tonight, he joins us from his studio in Los Angeles. Welcome, Tunde.
Hey,
So great to see you.
it's great to see you too.
Thank you. Real quick, I do want to let everyone know that there will be time for audience questions. So if you have one, please feel free to type it into the chat at any time. And to start, Tunde, I was hoping you could tell us about your overall approach to designing this issue of the magazine.
My overall approach. Wait, one moment. Let me do something to make me sound less like
Cool.
I'm talking to through a car. There we go. There we go. That was a remnant from early performance. So now I'm here and not talking through a tin can. Um, well, thank you for having me. First off, the my overall approach to designing this edition, it wasn't really approach. It was something that kind of found its way to me. Because as we were discussing, just like at the time that you asked me to design, I had a pretty big life event happened where I lost my sister very suddenly, and this kind of put me in a mindset of, very much thinking about my family, thinking about the past, thinking about the future. And in the midst of all that, um, just making a ton of drawings was something that really helped balance me out. Um, so that was about it. A lot of I had a lot of these stripe paintings that I'd been doing that I'd planned to use as backgrounds for just, various objects or subjects. Um, and those called to me a little bit. I was just being drawn towards bright colors, maybe for obvious reasons, but I think it was these flashes of color combined with memories of not just my family, other families, people who have been here, people who are no longer here, just kind of evidence, evidence that someone was here and was very dear to someone else, dear enough to have them draw or write about them, or just otherwise mark the time that that person had been here. So that
And
was kind of
so
it.
the images, like the portraits, the drawings and paintings of individuals, they're mainly people you know or saw in photographs um, that your family had.
A lot of them are. Um, there are a couple. There are few of my immediate family, like a few of them. That picture there is actually on the right is my mother. On the lower left is me looking quizzical. In the middle there is my brother. And on the side is an uncle and a cousin, and I don't know who they are. Like that was the other thing about looking through so many pictures. You're just kind of thinking like I probably spent a good deal of time with that person at a certain age. However, everyone has, bloomed into their larger form, and I just don't know who. I could ask my mom, but I have no idea who they are. So a lot of them were family portraits, a couple of found photos. There were some things that actually were record covers that were in old pictures that struck me as, just a kind of something that tips you off as to, what that person was into at that time.
Well, I remember one thing you said when we were talking about some of the images you had, and you were talking about interspersing those color fields, the stripes, as kind of illustrating how malleable and fuzzy and unreliable our memory can be at times. So you
Hmm.
have like these very specific individuals who are recognizable, and then the kind of fuzzy stuff, and some that are kind of psychedelic looking and where you can't really make out individual features.
Sure. And that feels like, I mean, I think it's a pretty accurate representation of what was just kind of going on in my head when I tried to clear everything out and try to I think there's the tendency to try to organize all these feelings and compartmentalize them and say this means this and this means this and this means this, when I feel like the most the feeling that lands most in the most honest way with me is this big whirl of it's confusion, it's bright, it's odd, and in moments these very recognizable figures pop out of it and then fade away again.
Well, another thing I loved in our process was I think it was part of a conversation we were having about font styles to use.
Mhm.
And you had written me an email where you had this vivid description, and that part of it made it into your notes on design. It just, I felt like it really captured the feel and the aesthetics of the issue, where you were talking about finding some random paperback that maybe was in the bargain bin of an old bookstore and had that kind of smell, or you found it sitting in the park and picked it up and somebody might use it as a sketchbook. And um
Sure. And that, I think that to me is, another um, side effect of, if someone moves or you lose someone, you are left technically holding the bag or the boxes of these old books, these old magazines, and a lot of them have sentimental value to you. And a lot of them, like I found books that my dad gave me when I was, 12 or 13, and I thought, I'm never going to read this. This is ridiculous. This is not. for me at all. And then I come across them, you know, as recently as 5 years ago, and it smells like an old book because it is an old book. It's yellowed a bit, it's a little brittle. And on the front page is an inscription from this person who's responsible for you being here, who isn't here anymore, so it kind of becomes a sacred object in a
Mm.
way. Um, and I love that. I don't know. I just love old things. Um, and I will be an old thing someday. When
Not for a long time. We're the
yeah,
same vintage,
yeah,
my friend.
yeah.
Um,
Soon
you
enough.
you work in a lot of different creative disciplines, and I wonder if you could talk about how you got started as an artist, like, and how your practice has evolved over the years.
Um, I got started as an artist when, um, first, my parents are Nigerian, um, and I'm Nigerian American by default of being born in St. Louis. Um, but my dad originally, and he told me this much, much later, he um, wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be an illustrator and a painter, and he was really, great at that. And I remember, I remember actually the moment that I realized that I wanted to draw, and it was a day that my dad was home, and I don't know. This is also marking my age, but there was a Burger King cup that had it was an Empire Strikes Back cup, a Star Wars cup, and a picture of Luke Skywalker on a tauntaun. For those of you who don't know, a tauntaun is a horse-like, camel-like beast, sort of like a kangaroo with tusks. Look it up. It's fantastic, fantastic animal. So it had Luke Skywalker riding a tauntaun, and it was, heat pressed onto this glass. I remember staring at it and going, just like, how does someone draw on a glass? How do they do that? And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, how did they get this on here? And he was describing it to me, and he was just kind of scribbling as he did it. He said, well, they make a drawing first and then they do this. And he held up the piece of paper that he was scribbling on, and he like perfectly reproduced this thing. And he kept talking, but I remember just like the whole room went silent. And I was like, how did you do that? I don't understand at all. And I really like walked away with it just being like, I don't know, you can do that, da da da. So he essentially showed me how to draw, and then was really confused when I didn't want to do anything else. When I was just like, you did it. And I'm saying this to say, especially a kid of immigrants, Nigerian immigrants, it's pretty much slated for you that you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an architect, or an engineer. And anything else, you've just failed miserable. Like you're failed, failed, failed. Um, So I was not, there was no part of me that was going to be any of that. It was obvious. Um, but he basically showed me how to do that. And it's all I did through grade school, middle school, high school. I thought I was going to be a cartoonist. I painted a little bit. Um, but then I ended up going to NYU for animation, and that brought me into filmmaking and basically pushing puppets around for hours and hours on end, um, trying to make sense of them and my life at the same time. Um,
And then when did music come into the picture?
Music, I'm trying to think of when it did. I
Was
was
it
in,
always there, like the
yeah,
drawing?
honestly, not really. Everyone in my family was musically inclined except me. I just had no interest at all, at all. My dad played the piano, my brother played the piano. Yeah, but I had no interest. I was in choir in high school. I was in a band in high school for maybe 2 months and decided that was a bad idea and I never wanted to do it again. Mistakes were made. Um, but when I it was probably 1997, and I was actually working, doing Celebrity Deathmatch, and it was one of those things where I was, your animation's fun, but you're really trapped indoors for a long, long time, and it's not it's not the most immediate um, return on your on what you're putting into it. So I had a friend, and we had a 4-track player, and we started making noise rock songs, and we had a band called Struggle Puss, and we played on the Lower East Side, and we'd get booked at a club or hop onto a friend's show, and our motives or our the point of the band was to drive everyone out of the room, and whoever stayed, whoever was around at the end, we gave a CD of what we'd made that day and burned that day. So it wasn't really, I won't, it was sound. I don't know if it was music. It definitely was just something. It was something to fill a room with. Um, and after that, I feel like that band ended. I think Struggle Puss was was on a hiatus, which meant someone just didn't show up, so the band was over. And I'd started making music with Dave Siddick because we were roommates. We were we were two of way too many people who lived in a loft in Brooklyn, and we started making music together. Just 4-track stuff, and also playing at venues and not being that serious about it. Um, but then after September 11th, like most of our friends, we stayed inside a lot and started thinking about what we were doing. And I think the mode was, if everything's over, we should be doing exactly what we want, and we should put as much time and energy into it and celebrate being alive, even if you feel horrible, about the world. So yeah, out of that came the first TV on the Radio EP, and then we got signed to this label Touch and Go, and kind of from there it was pretty much like, okay, you're a band. And shortly after, it turned into a job, which you know, thankfully, because no one was doing anything else. So um, yeah, and then that was pretty much the on ramp to music. And I'd always sang a little bit. I've always written just a lot to get it out of my head, and to find a venue for the things that kind of came off as poetry was kind of it was a bonus to being in a band and surrounded by people who were way better at playing instruments than you will ever be.
Well, and you had said at one point when we were talking, you said that you had made a pledge to yourself, that you would alternate projects in these different disciplines.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems like you've pretty well kept to that. Does that seem accurate? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel lucky to be able to do it. And it's kind of, I used to kind of joke with friends. I said, well, I can't really hold a job, so I need to kind of just keep doing whatever. I got to jump to the next log whenever it comes around. But I don't know, you do it long enough, and I feel really lucky to be able to keep doing it. I think like maybe anyone who's trying to be, who has an art spirit in them that uses this, whatever these mechanisms are to process the world. I feel really lucky that I can do that and be supported in any way. Yeah.
Well, and I thought it was interesting when you were saying you and Dave, after 9/11, were really starting to focus more on the music. And I know you had said during the pandemic, it gave you time not only to work on artwork in your studio, but you've also been working on music.
Hmm. Yeah, I started making. some things for my own record. Um, and this was probably January of 2020. I kind of decided that okay, the band, I don't know what's happening to the band. So I'm gonna work and make my own stuff. And so I started to work with a friend, and then it was a month later, pretty much everything shut down. Um, and like the world, I was just figuring out what to do, with my family, my kids home from school. It's just, the big jumble um, that came out of this, really, really tragic thing. Um, so it was a few months after that, probably, I would say that summer, I kind of got back in the headspace of writing and cobbling stuff together. And very slowly, I've got a group of songs that are, ready to be, I think, polished up and put out. Um,
Yay.
yeah. So
Well,
next year, yeah.
it's also interesting to me. I think a real asset to having these different disciplines in which you're fluid is you can choose the ones to pursue that kind of fit the moment. So,
Hmm.
the solo music and the artwork seem, conducive to pandemic life when you're home and you have this time and you aren't able to really work with a lot of collaborators.
Hmm.
Um, and then now you've been working, including as of today, on this new series for HBO. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can say a little bit about it. But it's a show called The Idol, and is created by Abel Tesfaye, who's his superhero name, his street name, song name is The Weeknd, and he and Sam Levinson, who created the show Euphoria, um, and also Abel's producing partner Reza Fahim, created this show that's essentially about a cult and basically a pop star who begins an interaction with the cult that goes as creepy as you can imagine. That kind of thing will go.
And when will this air?
It's supposed to come out next fall. I think, it will definitely be later next year. Yeah.
Well, has it, I was curious how pandemic restrictions that seem to kind of bloom and retract, periodically over these past many months, how that's impacted like your work on the set. Obviously, it was open enough that you could be on a set with other people and shoot this thing. Um,
Yeah. Well, once you get signed up, and I shot something last October in Colorado, and it was a small indie thing, and it was probably a crew of about 15 people and 5 actors. And I was staying it was in Crested Butte, Colorado. I've never been there. I'd never been there before, but it's a big ski lodge town. So I was in a ski lodge, this gigantic hotel, and I think I was one of two people there. So it was horrifying. It was like The Shining, but everyone else had been sort of, they were in a pod in another house there. And before you got there, you tested. When you got there, you tested PCR tests, and a few days later, you sent tests off, received your results. Um, so that was my experience with it on a small scale. Um, Doing this show now, everyone's tested 3 times a week. Everyone is in a mask, of course. Um, Between takes, there's I call them the COVID police, but that's not a negative. That's not a negative thing at all. But they really will as soon as somebody else cut. they've got your mask or your shield that you've been using in a bag and will come up and, let you know it's time to put it on. And I mean, it really is a very, very tight system. Um, and like a lot of this stuff, you just get used to it. It becomes you get freaked out if you don't see someone with a mask, and it's the same as um it's the same as I was about to say it's the same as the world, but it's not.
No, I don't think it is. I think for those of us in California, we're used to everyone having masks on all the time. But I know I was traveling, over the summer, and there were places I was where it felt like almost the pandemic didn't exist. And it was pretty wonderful. Um, but I'm ready for it'll be
Yeah,
nice when it's really, really that way.
yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
I
Because
will
it's
say,
always I don't know, it's always it's like a low cello in the background the entire
yeah.
time whenever I see, yeah, a big maskless gathering that will take me a while to to shake that off, to shake the fear of that off.
Well, we talked, at some point early, I guess, in the process, we were talking about changes to all of our working processes and setups, and we were all working from home. And Michael, the editor of the magazine, is also my husband. So we're working right here together at home. The kids are home, all of that. Um, so certainly a lot of challenges, but we did find there's some real advantages to some of the new ways of working, and one of which has definitely been this ability to like Zoom with our collaborators. Normally this is stuff we're doing over email and the phone, and it's been so nice that we can schedule these Zoom calls and we're on the phone for hours, on the screen for hours, and it's certainly not the same as sitting in a room with someone, but it's it feels like it's kind of advanced the way we work with collaborators. And I wonder
Hmm.
if you've had any experiences, the ways that your work has changed, your processes have changed that have been advantages.
I wonder.
You work with so many collaborators. I could see that it's mainly, forcing you to kind of be at a remove, maybe.
Well, I was gonna say like the people I work with are are if you want to in the animal kingdom, they're what would be known as an indoor cat. Like we usually I end up sending people a lot of things. Just I mean, even pre-pandemic, it's easy to send somebody something and not go somewhere unless you have to. Not that I'm against going anywhere, but um, I've been most of the things that I do, I've been able to do in a room, and was able to do just in a room, and occasionally take something to someone, which is, I don't know if I should feel a way about that, but it's the way it is.
Well, uh, another positive to me is this expansion into doing these live streams. I think all of us get kind of uh, screen fatigued because this is so much of how we conduct our lives these days. But it's also really nice to be able to do events with people in different cities, different states, different parts of the world. Um, I haven't seen any pressing questions from the audience. I hope I haven't missed anybody who had tried to put something into the chat. But I have my most important question for you right now.
Hmm.
Are you ready to share some music with us?
I am. Um, yeah.
All right, let's
It's
do
gonna
it.
be so there'll be some improvised things. There'll be some song formy things, some things that I'm still working out. But yes, we can call it music if we want to do that. I was there. Oh, someone said woo. Okay, I thought that was a question. Woo! All right, let me get this together. Make sure everything is working. All right. Sounding okay? Boom 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 ba, 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 boom boom ba, My mast ain't so sturdy, my head is at half. I'm searching the clouds for the skull. And my lady's availed herself of marked down freedom, forever cashed out to no more. She put the plan in the plan, bullets bearing the name of each tigress who's left you a two. Save the skins for a pelts and the rest for a bell. They can't open, no nothing, can't open, no nothing. Young liars. I said thank you for taking my hand. Young liars. I said thank you for taking my hand. Well, it's cold and it's quiet and cobblestone cold in here, fucking for fear of not wanting to feel again. Lonely is all we are, loveless so far, but my heart's still a marble in an empty jelly jar. Someday suppose that my curious nervousness slips into prescience, clairvoyant consciousness, I will be calmer than cream, making maps out of your dreams. But will psychic ability kill that nativity, or simply diminish the flesh? Young liars. Ooh, young liars. four-string trombone, pull me forward, onward to the sea. Oh, come take my picture soon, all I will be is my disease. Oh, four-string trombone, pull me forward, onward to the sea. Oh, come take my picture soon, all I will be is my disease. Swing along with me, bouncing on the devil's knee, floating down a veil of tears. Said swing along with me, bouncing on the devil's knee, floating down a veil of tears. Ay, ay, ay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Let me see what's happening with this thing. Let me see. Thank you. That's a lullaby for this child who should go to bed soon.
Well,
Let me see.
oh, is there more?
There is more, I
Oh,
think.
all right.
Let me
I'm going
see.
back on mute.
There should be more. All right, I'm going to do this. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 ba ba bum ba 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 bum. Ba 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 ba. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 ba bum 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 bum
Your slim frame, oh, your eager eyes and your wild mane, oh, they keep me where I belong. Now I'm all wrapped up in wrong. You're to blame, oh, for these wasted words in sad refrain. Oh, let them take me where they may. Oh, but believe me when I say, oh, I will be your accident if you will be my ambulance, and I will be your screech and crash if you will be my crutch and cast, and I will be your one more time if you will be my one last chance. Oh, sweet tree, fall for me. Your slim frame, oh, your simple stare and your wrong name, oh, they keep me where I belong. Oh, now I'm all strung out in song. Why so tame when we could shoot wilder vines through younger veins? We could sip slow from night's deep well and watch our garden swell. Once the seeds are sown, wild and overgrown, you'll see your heart's colors turned and changed like leaves. Oh, sweet, sweet tree, fall for me. Fall fast, fall free, fall with me. Because I will be your accident if you will be my ambulance, and I will be your screech and crash if you will be my crutch and cast, and I will be your one more time if you will be my one last chance. Oh, sweet dream, fall for me, fall fast, fall free, fall with me. That's it.
That was such a tremendous treat. I cannot thank you enough, Tunde.
Thank
And
you.
I also want to remind people, if you haven't picked up this beautiful edition, please do while we still have some on our website. This was such a gift to be able to work with you on this and to have your work shared with us and our readers.
Thank you so much.
We'll certainly always treasure it. And
Do I
really,
get to say hi?
yeah, say hi.
Hi.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
How are you?
I'm Michael. So I edit the magazine, and I was just thinking that I've been editing the magazine for 20 years. I think I've loved your music that long. So it was probably OK Calculator. It was probably 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And not to date us, though.
I'm saying, like I said, you know, everyone's talking about not being far off from being old. It's weird when you remember 20 years ago with like clarity, because before that, I was like, I don't know. It was a blur.
You know, I think my over the 20 years, I think my favorite thing about the magazine is just like these artists whose work like yours I've admired for so long, and then to have this platform to like meet you and collaborate with you, and then to find like these artists you've always admired like are just such warm and excellent people. And I feel like after every time, you know, Ann and I would talk to you over Zoom and we get off, there'd just be like 15 minutes of like, I love that guy. Like he is
It's awesome. Very nice you say.
And I feel like your warmth and like your kindness comes through in just everything you do. And so for us, like just, you know, having the chance to work with you was just such an apex experience. And we are, next time you're in town, we're taking you to dinner. So
right on. That would be fantastic.
Well, meanwhile, thank you so much for being really generous with your artistry, with your time, all your efforts, both with the magazine and with this wonderful event, which was just so fabulous. Thank you to everybody who joined us. And
thank you guys
tonight. It was really wonderful to be able to share this with people. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening and terrific holiday season.
Yeah, have a great end of the year. Cherish the end of the year. Yeah. I was about to say, everybody stay strong. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the most succinct way I can put that, because it's wild. It's wild out there.
This beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and great stories too, on top of the beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, I am from the top of the world, from the Borealis.
It was wonderful. It felt like we're up in the mountains, and it's so cold in our house.
I know, I'm freezing.
That I had to get.
It's freezing here.
Was
behind the scenes. I'm in a garage.
California's freezing though. It's like 44.
All right. Well, thank you, Sunday.
Oh, that is
fascinating.
Wow.
I had so much fun before I got online. You have no idea.
Well,
It's
thank you,
wild. It's
Tunde.
wild. It's everything.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank
who
you,
joined
guys.
us. This was great. And
Thank you.
have a wonderful night.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.